Welcome, listeners, to another Arcade Attack podcast. My name is Dylan, and today I'm joined by Adrian.
I'm here. I'm back.
Keith.
Hello.
Rob. No, Rob.
Adrian finally killed Rob.
Finish him. And Kev.
No, just the
Kev.
three amigos.
No,
Yeah.
So I brought you all here today to talk about a certain franchise. In fact, one of the largest grossing franchises in video game history.
We've already covered McDonald's games. What are you on about, man?
McDonald's games, Zelda games.
Before you say what it is, isn't it also true now in 2018 to say that it's one of the biggest franchises in media?
Oh,
Not just video games.
I'm glad you said the word media, because I'll be coming back to that later.
Okay.
So, today we're going to talk about Grand Theft Auto,
AKA GTA.
aka go flipping mental around town, doing what the hell you
Crime
want.
Simulator.
AKA not playing the game properly. Just do what you want,
Yep.
have fun, and don't worry about the story.
Yeah, and you know my aversion to current gen gaming. It's not a secret now.
You've never said anything.
But one, you know, obviously this is a franchise I've always had time for. I've
true.
actually, I think, apart from maybe, I think there was a PSP outing I didn't have, I've pretty much owned every single Grand Theft Auto game.
Really?
Really? Even 5. On the Xbox 360 though, not the remastered one. So I know. That's weird, right?
Yes, it is.
The appeal. You know, obviously there's lots of things that appeal about the game. Slightly risque, some might say. But, so I was just obviously curious as to what the sales figures of Grand Theft Auto were.
The original or?
Just all of the series together.
I know this is going to be crazy. I remember reading not long ago the figures for the last one, and they were just like, what?
What did you see as the figures for the
I
last one?
can't remember what the exact figure was, but it was didn't it sell like 1 billion copies or something? Like GTA 5.
Crazy. Oh, that's okay.
Have I gone wildly?
You've gone...
No, I'm thinking about billions of dollars here.
Yeah,
actually,
you are.
I'm not thinking about copies, sorry.
Yeah.
Not one in every 7 people
The
on
last
Earth. only.
time I checked, and I checked as close to this podcast as I could, so obviously you can download it as well, so the original versions, the remastered ones, 90 million.
Oh,
GTA 5 alone.
No, that's an insane amount.
GTA 5 alone.
GTA 5 alone.
What's
Well,
the
there you go.
population of the good old England or UK?
It's about 70 million, isn't it, in the UK?
So it's more than the population of the UK. There
That's
you go.
Crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
And of course,
I knew it
it's
was
got
a lot.
roots to the UK, this game. I'm sure you're going to tell us more later. haven't you,
Well,
Paul?
this is the thing.
Yeah.
So that 90 million actually contributes to something like 240 million units of Grand Theft Auto games in the world. That's about half the population of the United States of America.
That's insane.
Is there any other franchise, maybe that's been had even more copies that can actually come near that? I can't think of any.
Well,
Mario, maybe? Mario, possibly.
how many copies of Ocarina did you say they sold? 10?
10 million, I think, yeah, around that.
How many Zelda games have there been? Zelda's got to come close.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because there have been so flipping many of them. Mario games as well.
Yeah.
I don't know as well, though. You've got...
But they're like mainstream. This is something that's not even well,
It hasn't been around that long, really, compared to those two.
no. Yeah.
I think the thing as well, I don't know if you're going to get onto it later in terms of this game, the series as a whole, but especially these days, there's a lot of people out there who own PS4s or Xbox Ones, wouldn't necessarily call themselves gamers, but they play FIFA, they play Call of Duty, and they play GTA.
Yeah.
And they absorb lots of multimedia content.
Oh yeah, but and so as well as when you're talking about like Mario, obviously they sell massively. But the kind of people that are the FIFA, COD, GTA only gamers, they're not interested in Mario.
We still like those people, don't we, on this podcast?
Oh no, I'm not being. I know it sounds like I'm being dismissive, but I'm saying even people who aren't like us who play loads of different kinds of games on loads of different kinds of consoles. They're set in their ways. They know what they like. They play those kind of games.
That's a good point.
I mean, as well as the gamers that appreciate GTA 5 for what it is, which is a great game.
Yeah.
So it contributes to those massive figures.
It is a great game that's obviously been flogged by the whole remaster
Yeah.
element
Obviously.
and the online
Yep.
Oh, the online
game
yeah.
now. It was originally released in 2013.
Wow.
The game is
5 years old.
The game is 5 years old
Yeah.
and continues to fly off the shelf.
Mad. I mean, they could retire. The people that made this game think it's just like a cash cow, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, Rockstar don't even have to do anything if they want in their whole
They
lives.
could literally be
just-
rock stars. They
Well,
could
yeah,
They
literally-
could be rock stars.
They could make a band. It wouldn't have to sell one single album. They could just do that. If
Yeah.
they wanted
Yeah.
to.
So, bearing in mind that it's sold about 90 million units, what do you reckon the next biggest sellers are in the Grand Theft Auto?
Well,
Ooh,
Good
okay.
question.
Go
Well, I
on,
think
you go.
Vice City was a big
He
seller.
took my answer.
Vice City, yeah.
Okay, as he said Vice City, I'm going to say San Andreas.
San Andreas. What was so? Okay, so the
So-
next three. So there's two of the three. What was the other one?
Miami wasn't there? Vice?
GTA 3?
No,
No?
The original game, possibly.
San Andreas, Vice City,
Yeah.
and there's another one. So San Andreas sold 27.5 million units,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
which is mammoth.
Yeah.
Before you consider GTA 5.
Mm.
Vice City, 20 million.
Okay, still a smaller
Massive.
mammoth, but still a big mammoth.
This other one, GTA 4, so very surprisingly, 25 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's obviously not sold as the San Andreas was just a monster.
The
but-
jump from 4 to 5. 25 million to 90 million.
Astronomical, isn't
Crazy, isn't it?
And these are massive games. Massive games that you can pick up for pennies now because there's so many millions of copies
Yeah,
everywhere.
just floating around. Yeah.
But it all stemmed from the original Grand Theft Auto game,
Yeah.
which we're going to discuss today because it's very retro now. Why is it retro? Because it was released in October 1997.
it? I think people forget the origins of the game, don't you?
People really do. I think a lot of people, maybe someone in this room included, think that Grand Theft Auto 3
I don't think
It's the
that.
start
I
of
know
all of this.
it's not, but
But
that's
it's
where
not.
I started. That's where my GTA journey started.
I think there's a lot to be said for the original Grand Theft Auto. So I'm going to try and say as much as I can of it in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How many million units do you guys reckon that sold? It was a PlayStation 1 PC
yeah.
game. How many million units?
Do you know what? It got a lot of controversy. It got a lot of free media, and I think it sold
No
pretty
such
well.
thing as bad publicity.
Yeah. It did get a lot of publicity. I reckon it sold at a good number. All right, not 20 million. So I'm thinking 5 million. That's my
Thinking
shout.
5?
Yeah.
I'm going to say less than 2.
Less than 2? Keith is unfortunately closer.
Well, only 2 copies are sold.
Apparently, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not man in the statistics office like who actually gets these figures, but apparently it sold only just over 1 million units.
Oh, okay.
The original GTA. Put that into perspective for the Resident Evils at the time. They sold about 3-4 million each. So
Do you think?
only a quarter successful as those games.
Wow.
It's pretty sad, huh? Obviously, bearing in mind what you guys know about the original game or not. Why do you think it sold?
It's got to be the look of it, surely.
the look of it.
Why do we think it didn't sell as many?
Yeah.
Well, look, it wasn't
Why didn't
the
it appeal?
game we know now. It was a different kind of game. I know it's the origins and it's still got that kind of feel. Well, I just think it's a different game. Actually, I'd almost say it's a different sort of game.
I think, when I say the look of the game, obviously top down, 2D,
Ooh.
pretty much.
See, I like it's more 3D than 2D. It's kind of
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, it is top down. Top down.
it's got polygon buildings and stuff, hasn't it? I know what you're saying. But it looked at first glance quite basic. And obviously it's at the time where we're into the 32-bit era. People go, oh, Wipeout. Oh, look at that Resident Evil. That looks kind of amazing. Look at this game. Look at that game. And maybe it just, people, we were at that stage. People wanted the next best thing, and maybe it looked a bit, not retro, but just a bit,
It is exactly that. I mean, before I go into the sort of the nitty gritty of it, I'll just give you a little bit of critical reception at the time. And I remember this, and it actually did kind of put me off buying it at the time.
Okay.
I lent it off Mark when we were at college.
Oh, right.
Because I didn't actually want to spend money on it. I think it actually dropped in price pretty quickly as well. So it averaged about 60 to 70%.
Ooh, that's a lot.
In reviews.
So again, that's had an impact on sales, isn't it?
Yeah. So Douglas Perry of IGN gave it 6 out of 10, and this is why. These are a few kind of snippets of his review. Grand Theft Auto reminds me of the simplistic arcade games that ravaged the earth about 20 years ago. In 1997,
Ravaged the earth.
yeah. It's simple, fun, and carefree gaming. It's also got graphics from about 20 years ago, too. One such example of the graphic look starts as your main character, who is barely identifiable from any other pedestrian. The top-down view is generally stable and seamless, but occasionally it zooms in too close, leaving you unclear as to where a car or opponent might be. The camera view is often blocked by buildings. In some cases, the camera zooms right up to the top of a building instead of zooming right in. The graphic problems, however, aren't really such a problem because really this game could be playable with a simple vector graphics engine and still be fun. But Grand Theft Auto isn't about graphics. Rather, the graphics are a symptom of fast food programming and careless design.
Wow.
I'm not happy about that.
Fast food program. How insulting is that to the people that worked on it?
It's really insulting,
Yeah.
especially when you get to
Yeah, the people
who
that worked
actually
this game,
conceived it. Yeah, so a little bit more from Douglas. Grand Theft Auto is a fun game, but you may find yourself saying to yourself out loud, "Hey, why didn't they fix that?" Not a good sign for a game that has so much potential. So that was a critical review. Going to a user review. So a chap called Michael Pilkington on IMDb, the casual user review, wrote, "The biggest weakness is the graphics, third rate and outdated. They could have done better. Other than that, a really fun game if you don't mind redundant gameplay and age-old graphics." This was conceived by Dave Jones, of DMA Design's co-founder, and Arcade Attack favourite Mike Daly.
Yeah, we do like
Mike Legend Daly.
Yeah, which we know him from, Keith.
Lemmings!
No, of course.
It's funny how you go from Lemmings to Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, please, Mike, please give us an interview or something.
Yeah, we are big fans.
We're going to tweet you again, don't worry. So, when DMA were concepting this, they wanted a game that would appeal not to just game heads, but with those in an interest in movies, music, and running over policemen. I just kidding. But it was keeping him, obviously with Sony's thinking at the time about the PlayStation. It's like a multimedia experience, isn't it, really? But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think, despite the graphics, I think it is borne out in the original GTA. So Mike's initial prototype was an isometric city simulator. I've seen screenshots of this. It's not the prettiest thing you'll ever see, but it's quite a nice little kind of time capsule. You know how we used to do isometric things?
Yeah,
And,
like SimCity 2000 kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can see the problems with that, trying to get cars and things around a city that's isometric, and how is it going to flip around, and so what he did, rather than keeping it isometric, was flip it to its side. So you're looking, but then you couldn't see obviously where you're turning. Okay, one more flip, turn it upside down. Top down, baby.
Yeah, top down.
So now we're looking at it, and you say like obviously it's 2D, but it gives like a 3D effect because
It does,
of the way it's
yeah.
done. I mean, it's not sprites, but it's obviously the way they've done the buildings, and the way they kind of like move across as you with the camera, and it does give that
building.
depth.
You feel the height of the buildings.
Yeah. And you feel that you are that far away from the action, even when apart from when the camera goes way up close. So it was, I think, another reason they scrapped it was it because it looked too much like Syndicate Wars.
That was a good game.
Yeah, now that kind of worked.
Yeah. That was kind of isometric, wasn't it?
Yeah, that kind of worked, but I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on why that would work and Grand Theft Auto wouldn't work in the same way. But I think they were conscious of it being too much like it.
Was Syndicate? I played the original Syndicate. Was Syndicate
Just
Wars?
the 3D.
Yeah,
But it was it a free road? Like obviously GTA, you have the freedom to go
You're like the
pretty much anywhere. Was it
transport
like
and
that?
stuff,
I think
didn't
in
you?
Syndicate Wars there's more walking around, whereas in GTA it's
A lot of driving and-
so you need that fast action.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe. There's a couple of things that kind of led to it, isn't it? But the top-down view is what they stuck with, and yeah, that's great, you know. Can you guys, you'll never guess this, but do you know what it was first called?
Oh, I looked at this the other day and it's something really weird. It's something, I don't say rude, but it's a rubbish name before, wasn't it?
But, you know, it's actually kind of keeping in the thinking of what it was going to be. I mean, it was meant to be, like a chasing game around a city.
Yeah.
Which is full of pedestrians. They called it Race and Chase.
Yeah. It's almost too simple, isn't it?
They called it Race and Chase. So can you imagine like, Race and Chase Liberty City Stories? Or Race and Chase Vice City? I can see your faces.
It's featuring Chaz and Dave.
Yeah, they just kind of sound like a duo of some kind.
Race and Chase,
Race
like
and
Gladiators.
Chase.
Tango
Yeah.
and Cash kind of thing.
Yeah, like Tango and Cash. Yeah, Race and Chase.
So yeah, Race and Chase got a little bit.
Yeah, I
Bit
can't
off.
imagine Race and Chase selling 90 million copies.
No.
Well, the thing is, after a bit, you got the city that's full of pedestrians. DMA wanted the pedestrians to be fodder, a bit like Carmageddon.
Mm.
So a bit like
that
like
came
running
around
them
the same
over.
sort of time, didn't it?
Yeah, I
think so,
That was an
mid-90s.
N60, 64 and
PC
PlayStation,
game, wasn't it, Carmageddon?
And
Yeah.
Carmageddon.
Yeah. I think it was around that sort of time.
Must have been mid-90s.
Yeah, maybe slightly before. Well, it must have been out when they were thinking about this, at
Yeah.
least.
God, it all kicked off in the mid-90s, didn't it?
It did, got a bit violent.
So, yeah, in fact, I found another source that said initially they wanted you to be the cop,
Ah, okay.
hunting down bad guys.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
too easy, too
Yeah.
simple.
Too
but
obvious.
then how are they going to keep that when they wanted to add the ability to
Yeah, the-
steal other people's cars?
Yeah.
I don't think a cop would do that unless he was chasing someone.
Yeah, unless it was like, I don't know.
A road cop or something.
Yeah, or Riggs
Yeah.
in Lethal Weapon. He would steal a car
Yeah. That's it.
to chase down the criminals.
That's it. But he'd only
But-
do like one
Yeah.
per film.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it continually.
He wouldn't keep doing
and
it.
taking it to spray
No.
paint shops and other things.
That's
And-
true.
No. And then you've got the punching
Yep.
element.
Yes.
And extreme gun violence.
Yes.
The case or the cover of GTA, which I threw at you
Which you
earlier.
threw at me. Hello.
Keeps eye out, by the way.
Ah!
The tower
Mhm.
that you're looking at there
No.
is
No. Is it?
Say it.
Is it one of the Twin Towers?
No.
Oh.
Don't say that, Keith.
Oh. It's not the...
It's relevant.
It's not Trump Tower, is it?
It's Trump
Is
Tower.
it Trump Tower?
May I see, Keith?
How bad is that? I'm just going to
Wow.
leave that there. All right.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. The front on the PAL
Oh,
version
man, that is...
of Grand
that is
Theft
awesome.
Auto, they've chosen to put a picture of Trump Tower.
no, I don't think Donald Trump will be very happy about that. I'm sure,
Prophetic.
it doesn't really reflect his... well, I'm not,
Oh,
I'm
I
sure he's not
like
happy.
this. The back. Sorry, I don't know if you're going to mention it. The back of the instruction manual has got the definition of Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, wow.
They really had to fill the space with something. So.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go. Nice little trivia there. Like that.
bit of trivia.
Trump Tower.
But yeah, we'll leave that there. The game was banned in Brazil.
Oh,
It was banned in a few places, wasn't it?
Brazil loved the Master System.
They do not like Grand Theft Auto.
They don't
yeah.
like Grand
Hate
Theft
car
Auto.
crime.
They hate car crime. Oh man, they are way against it. The 3D engine idea, right? So you said it. It was back in the day where 3D engines were all the rage.
Mm-hmm.
Polygons.
Yeah.
Let's get it out there. I can't find a straight idea as to why the 3D engine idea for the game got scrapped. The main reason appears to be that DMA wanted it to be on several different platforms. And
Okay.
you're going to like this, Keith.
Am I?
Right? It made it to the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It made it to the PC, Adrian.
And
for
it
you.
made it to...
the Game Boy Color.
Oh.
yeah. And...
Let's not talk about the Game Boy Color,
All right.
and
Is it true that it was being developed on the Amiga before? What? No?
well, I think so.
Okay.
It almost and was mooted to be on
The Sega
Sega
Saturn.
the Sega Saturn. A 2D powerhouse,
Indeed.
of course. I actually don't really mind the 2D aspect of the first game.
Yeah, I like it. Do you know what? I agree. Because at that time, we were flooded with all these 3D games. Some of them were brilliant, some were rubbish. And I think that's why I liked it so much, because it was a bit different at the time. And it did hark back to the old days, but it was done in quite a nice, original way. So I agree, Dylan. I like the game a lot.
I mean, the sequel was just a polished version of the first one.
Yeah.
They chose again not to go for the 3D, the 3D.
And do you know what?
3D angle.
This is probably, out of all, I got a demo for this on the PC, the GTA, the first game. And out of all the demos I played in my life, this was probably one of the demos I put so much hours in. And I didn't play the game properly, truthfully. I just liked to drive around. It was so smooth, mucking about. I don't like saying it, but just mowing down pedestrians. I'm not proud of saying that, but it was kind of fun. I don't know if it's this game or it's a sequel, but you could get the police, and the more kills you got, the more police were after you.
Yep.
And just staying alive was almost like a game in itself. I know you had to do the proper missions.
Did the wanted level thing exist in the first game, or was that a later?
Ooh, here we go.
Is that because that's kind of what he's talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the wanted level.
So the wanted level thing is one of the, obviously one of the best things that the original game has given its successors. And you get up to like 4 cop heads or something.
Right. And just keeping away from all these cop cars was a challenge in itself. But you felt the adrenaline going. And I remember going, I'm not doing the proper mission, but I just want to stay alive. I think a lot of people play GTA just to muck about. I don't know if
well, that's still the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the original,
the new ones,
in the newer GTAs, driving like normally around the city or whatever will get rid of a couple of police heads or police stars. Whereas I think in the original one, and I've been playing it for the last week, the only way that you can get rid of the police head things is to take the car into a spray shop.
That old trick. That old chestnut.
Yeah.
That old chestnut.
These police are a bit dumb, aren't they? You think they have a suit cotton on.
That was something, actually.
That was a red car, but now it's green. It must be a different...
It must be a different car, yeah. But that was something that apparently was born out of a programming limitation,
wow.
I think. I've forgotten exactly what it is, but they had to put the car in, and they couldn't change the model of the car or something. I think maybe they originally wanted it to be like you go into a garage and then you
drive out in a different car.
Yeah, I think it just ended up as being
same car, different colour.
Paint job. Yeah.
Okay.
It does the same thing.
Yeah.
You know. Again, if anyone knows the real answer to that, I'm curious to know. But yeah, so all of these things, when they were conceiving it actually, and when they were thinking about it as race and chase, they kind of, the penny dropped when they realized that you were the bad guy. Oh, it took a while. Like, oh, race and chase. We're not the policeman. We are the bad guy.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Grand Theft Auto. Yep. And that was it. That was essentially the birth of this phenomenon.
It's mad.
It's completely mad.
Changing that whole mindset to being the bad guy, it certainly flustered a lot of feathers, didn't it, Dylan? It caused quite a lot of controversy, didn't it, this game?
It did. I don't have any record of it, but I think people like the Daily Mail and everyone kept
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, and actually that added to it in a way. That made the game quite interesting to me. It's like, oh, look at this, it's a bit different, it's a bit naughty,
I don't think it made it to Parliament or anything. I don't think it was that bad.
I know that.
Ooh, I don't know.
I knew it caused a lot of trouble, and I think definitely in England it was.
I reckon it might have got a mention.
Yeah. Let's say it went to the highest court.
Highest court in the land.
It went to the highest court.
Who was it? Tony Blair at the time. I bet he was like, he had a big rant about GTA. I don't know.
But I think that 60-70% of the time, if you could go back in time and told my college self that GTA is going to be over 230 million units, I would have slapped you. There was, what? How is this like...
You would have asked us to shake you and say...
cruddy looking game.
Like an airplane where they keep hitting people and go, move over.
Yeah, lining up, yeah.
It would be exactly like that. But... the mind boggles. But I thought, okay, well, I went down to Play Nation Games, obviously a Croydon staple, found a copy, for £5. Thought, right, I'm gonna have a good go at this, and then I'll add this to my thoughts about the podcast. Or I've tried to play it.
Oh, because I've got very fond memories of this game. I'm harping back thinking it was amazing. It was easy to control. It was fun. But tell me it's still the same.
I'll say a couple of things about the PC version. A lot of fog has been put on the PlayStation version.
Oh, really?
Get it on there. Yeah.
What, like Silent Hill 2 fog?
Yeah. No, Silent Hill 1 fog. Like fog.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 fog was for atmosphere. Silent
was for
Hill 1
atmosphere.
fog was for system limitations.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing. A PlayStation couldn't hold the whole map.
Yeah.
Obviously you had the three cities.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Liberty City, Vice City, San Andreas
It's
City.
great, isn't it?
But it couldn't handle it, so it couldn't map the exact positions of everything. Trains are on the PC version.
Yes, trains are.
Trains are not on the PlayStation version.
Interesting.
So the PC version was better.
Yeah, well, PC version, it will map. You can follow people back to their destinations and things. And whereas on the PlayStation version, if whatever sprite is redundant, it just fades out.
Oh, so you're going to follow someone who turns into like a ghost?
It
Maybe.
just kind of
Disappear,
fades
yeah.
out, or if someone like goes.
Maybe you're like driving a haunted sort of city, possibly. Maybe it is like Silent Hill.
It is,
Yeah,
people just keep
everyone
like appearing. Like, yeah. So there's a fair bit of fog in the PS, the PS version, but it doesn't. I think the way they programmed it, you don't really notice a massive difference. I would have loved to see trains in the PlayStation version, but beggars can't be choosers. And it hasn't aged well. We talk about the 3D games, the 3D PlayStation games not aging well. This is a 2D game that has not aged well. It actually hurt my eyes. I mean, that's the harsh thing. That's the harsh thing to say.
It is a bit harsh still.
It moves at such a pace. Like sometimes when you're in some of the cars and things, it moves at such a pace. It actually, when it's all kind of going
Too fast.
it will hurt your eyes.
Just trying to keep up with.
Trying to keep up with
Is
everything.
it a true deal though? I think it is. Some of the cars are better than other cars. Some are faster, some
Yeah.
are slower. And part of the fun for me when playing the game was trying to track down the elusive, really like fast sports cars.
Yeah, the fast spot. Yeah, because you kind of get a hint of them in some of the missions.
Yeah.
So how can I put it? They look very similar. The cars actually. Yeah, there isn't a great deal of variety in them, but there can't be. I mean, you're dealing with a limited console. They're obviously they've putting out this thing, which is essentially an open. It's a 2D, but it's an open world game. You're in the city and you can just do what the hell you want to do.
I wonder if the PC version had better graphics, a more selection of cars. Because I remember the PC version.
Yeah, the PC
in
version
high
is
regard.
better graphically.
Yeah.
I've seen that running on YouTube, but not a great deal better. Not as good as GTA 2, obviously. GTA 2 just looks really nice, even from a top-down perspective. But yeah, the thing, I mentioned earlier about the protagonist not being able to be differentiated from the pedestrians.
Oh yeah.
This is a real problem. Because sometimes, I mean, you can kind of like, because you get a choice of characters. There's 4 different characters. They all look slightly different, but they just essentially look like a little blur on the screen. And you have to press, I can change the controls a little bit, but the default controls is you press the accelerate button to make the guy move forward. And sometimes you can't tell which way he's facing. So you think you've got a gun or something on someone. You think, oh yeah, I'm going to line him up, and then you end up shooting the other way.
Like in Commando when the girl shoots the missile.
rocket launcher
Essentially,
the
she's
wrong
got
way.
the rocket launcher.
Just like that then.
Yeah, and it goes the other way. That happens quite a bit. The camera is way too zoomed in. You can't actually see what's going on. So when you're in the car, you can't, and you're like trying to run away from stuff. You'll go into walls. You'll crash into buildings.
I remember doing that a lot.
Yeah, because it's just not zoomed out enough. I think the London expansion pack,
Yes.
which this comes with, the GTA London
good.
is for the expansion pack for the original GTA game, is a bit better. It does zoom out a lot more. It's horrendous when you're on a motorbike. it's worse because motorbikes are like the quickest thing in the game, and they're so tiny, and the camera zooms quite a fair bit back as well, but you'll just end up crashing into everything. You will literally just crash into everything on the screen. I couldn't get, like, I play the GTA games now.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I can go over there, drive over here, do like a handbrake, turn around the corner, and it's all great. This GTA game just made me feel.
Yeah, but Dill, you played it when you played it 20 odd years ago, whatever, didn't you?
I didn't get that far then either.
Oh,
actually.
okay. You still was a problem back then, was it?
I think it was a problem back then. So it's not something it's not. Maybe I think because of how sophisticated games have become. Yeah, maybe that has hindered me somewhat. Maybe it is something that because we've been so numbed with how easy games are to pick up. And how good control systems are, and how good camera systems are.
Because I remember it was very responsive in GTA. If you turn right, you turn right, and if you could easily shoot into a wall. I do appreciate that. Yeah,
but it is because the camera, because when you brake, it zooms in again. So if you're braking and accelerating all the time, you've got this ping-pongy camera, and I just couldn't. It just hurt my eyes, and I started feeling a little bit helpless. The collision detection, because we are talking about sprites here, is pretty bad.
Right.
It's pretty bad. When you've got, a gun, and you're going all Trump, it's so easy to miss stuff. It is ridiculously easy to miss stuff because you've got tank controls, but they're not tank controls. They're tank controls with an accelerate button. You can change it, so you can, like, obviously you move top as the forward button and then as the accelerate for the car. But it doesn't, why couldn't they have split out the two? Why couldn't it have been when you jump in a car, you've got the X button as the accelerate, and then just up as the going forward from when you're the guy on the town, It just, it's all, I had a lot of conflicting emotions whilst playing it. There isn't, and also, brake is triangle or something. It's not square. Like on every kind of, isn't it standard right now? So like if you've got a racing game and you're accelerating with an X button, square is the brake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not in Grand Theft Auto.
What?
No, it was like, I actually can't even remember if it was triangle or circle, but it wasn't anything logical.
It's R1.
Oh, it's R1.
I'm just looking at the manual.
That's how you shoot guns usually, isn't it? R1.
There we go.
R1.
It was R1. It was a shoulder button. So,
Obviously.
yeah. Thanks, guys. There's no in-game map. This is a massive problem for a second-hand version of the game.
That, yeah.
Because the only map I had with my copy that I got from PlayStation was Vice City, which isn't the first city.
Oh, dear.
Liberty City is the first city.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, I didn't know what the hell you were doing because you couldn't see where you were. You only have a compass arrow thing pointing from the guy, which you can kind of follow, but you end up following it into water.
Oh.
Because you can't follow, the roads are all zigzaggy.
Yeah.
And it's just telling you where the thing is. So, like a compass.
If you just follow it as a direction, it will take you.
Yeah. So if you follow it in a
Straight.
direction, you'll just go to a dead end.
Oh dear.
And you'll just keep on zigzag back on yourself. And yeah, if you haven't got, I mean, you can look at the maps online, but you essentially have to play the game next to a PC or a laptop with the map on.
That's not good.
Or somehow print them off.
It's a strange choice that they couldn't have a small map in the corner.
I think again it's the limitations. Yeah, I think again it's the limitations.
It has to be very basic outline of the roads, doesn't it? Really?
You couldn't. So you have to have the map to work out where everything was.
Yeah.
Like you can tool up your car as a bomb. You can obviously find the paint shops as well.
But you obviously try to play the game properly. When I was playing it, I was just mucking about.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to
having
get to
fun.
that.
Okay, sorry.
So, you can't find your way around the roads. Even though the cities were designed by 3 different guys, I don't know their names, they all have the similar kind of problems with getting around. So you can't just follow the compass and get there in one piece. So you need the maps. But if you think that the 3D games focusing on Vice City or San Andreas or GTA 3, which is Liberty City, this game is essentially 3 games in one.
That's incredible when you think about it. How big is this game?
3 games. It's massive, actually, for a
Yeah.
PlayStation game. And what you can do in the game, obviously, you start by, it tells you what phone boxes to go first up, and then you follow it around. But there's so much sort of open world element with, a 32-bit game that was released in 1997. It was actually started, I think they started in 1995.
Wow.
But it went down
I
there.
heard the development time was a long time.
It was a couple of years it took from conception to actual publishing. So you've got 3 games in one there, and it takes ages actually to do the first city, to do Liberty City. It takes ages to do that.
And you got the London expansion thrown in.
You've got the London expansion. I mean, it's essentially it's the same game with a slightly better camera and a skin thrown on it. But
Did they sell that at full price?
no,
GTA London.
GTA London was like a tenner, wasn't it?
Was it?
10 or 15 quid.
Yeah, it was a cheaper. Yeah.
So that was good, but obviously you
fair
had to
enough.
have
Yeah,
GTA 1.
yeah.
So
They had the Austin Powers card, didn't they? The famous.
Oh, the Union Jack on it.
Jack, that was
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, I love it. Love that. Love it just for that, actually.
Yeah.
It is a really fun game if you're just going for a rampage. As you just said there, if you just go, there are loads of crates around the city with weapons in. You can go around the corner, oh, there's another crate.
There's like flamethrowers, wasn't there?
Go flamethrowers,
Nice.
some machine guns, you got your pistols everywhere. You can go to town, just cause carnage, rack up as many police car heads, police head things as you can, then jump in a car and then try and get to a spray shop. Try and fluke your way to a spray
If you
shop.
were living in that town, you'd start a spray shop business, wouldn't you? You'd make loads of money.
You'd make a killing, mate. All you'd have to do is just give it a spray. It doesn't have to be a good spray paint job either.
Get out of it, you.
Yeah.
Spray your car.
But yeah, it's really fun to go. A lot of the missions, if you get to it, are just about causing carnage. It's
Yeah.
just about going into like, there are loads of these little kind of alcovey bits around the city where there's just a crate. You knock the crate open, it's just a flamethrower or a submachine gun. It's like, kill 30, 40 people or whatever.
I don't want people just thinking I just didn't play the game at all. I obviously did try some of the levels, but it wasn't the main thing for me. I did try some of the levels. I never completed the game, but just, it was a nice, decent, quite a relaxing game in a weird way, just driving around.
Quite relaxing driving around murdering innocent people.
No, because you can imagine, obviously we weren't driving back then. It would be like, oh look, we can really just drive a car, do whatever we want. You felt a bit naughty playing it, but...
Well, it was one of the first games of its kind, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there was a plot of sorts. Not as plot driven as the recent ones.
No.
But you are a mobster, you are crook.
Do you have a name,
You just
name for
kind
these
of
characters?
you take jobs from different
You can give it your own name,
organisations,
actually.
don't you?
Well, can
The
you?
4 characters, you can all rename them to your own name if you wanted, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are character person.
Can I just read the bit in the manual?
Yeah, go on.
Just says it. So this is just the how to play bit. It's only a couple of stages. Pick a person. Before you get down to the action, choose to play the part of one of 4 funky fellas.
Funky.
It's the only way to keep track of your felonious achievements.
Felonious.
So don't name the
Brackets.
characters.
Well, keep track of your score.
Oh.
No, just 4 funky
They're
fellas.
just funky.
They're just funky fellas.
They're a bit like, they're like the light funky ones.
There's 3 of them, to be fair, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You should know, man. You should know.
But yeah, so it is, you've got to keep the gang on side, so you've got to do jobs for them. You've got this funky little pager in the top left-hand corner that will tell you
pager.
about...
So 90s.
Pager. I know.
Pager.
I know, right?
I've been paged.
A pager will tell you, okay, there's a sexy little like Corolla or something in something Heights. Go pick it up, and then you find out where Thingy Bob Heights is on the map, and then you go and roll over there, and deliver it over there, and you get some money, and it's very nice. It's that kind of it's this lovely kind of open worldness about
Before
it.
we took all that kind of stuff for granted.
We really have.
Whereas now,
We really
it's
have.
just standard.
Yeah, because it was an original game in that sense. Not many open world games like that. Let's be honest.
What,
It might-
in 97, not that I can think of.
No,
Certainly not on console.
the soundtrack.
Here we go.
So I'm going to keep on rattling off the positives now. So it's fun. Obviously, it's got the seedlings of what Grand Theft Auto is now.
Yeah.
But it's also, it actually plays quite, they've developed a soundtrack for the game, which is really catchy. And it plays songs dependent on what car you get into.
Classy.
Yes, it's the beginnings of the radio station thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the radio station, so you can't flick around the radio stations, unfortunately. But if you get into a pickup truck or some kind of van, then you get country music. If you just go for any kind of sports car, you get like the main kind of soundtrack on it. And the theme tune for it, I don't know if you guys have heard. You have to pop this on the beginning of the podcast.
I will.
It's called Joyride.
I think I do know it. Yeah.
By The Shooters. Let's go for a joyride.
Yeah.
The
I do
Shooters.
remember that.
The Shooters. I can't find record of The Shooters anywhere else.
Would you,
apart from doing
if they
this
did like
one
a
song.
live gig, would you go and you'd be the first person there when you do?
Yeah, I'll be the first person out the door as well because it'll be like the 5 minutes of doing that song. Okay, bye. But yeah, because of this PlayStation being on the CD, and as this PlayStation Saturn did, was have the audio tracks
on the
separate
CD.
from
Red Book
the
audio.
from the actual data, and I think you can get the GTA disc. I haven't tried it lately. I think I tried it back in the day. Get the GTA disc and you can pop it into a CD player and you can listen to the tracks.
You can listen to The Shooters as much as you
The
like.
Shooters. Well, see, because there's no record of The Shooters. I think it's Mike Daly.
It could be, couldn't it?
I think it's Mike Daly. I think he's putting on some
just like a
We
pseudonym.
must
some
get-
badass
yeah.
gangster voice. I think that's him.
We need Mike to listen to this and we hopefully confirm this, can't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike?
If it was him, though, he should have called himself Race and Chase.
Yeah.
Race and
It's like Chase and Status or something.
Oh, yeah.
Race and Chase.
Race and Chase. Yeah, it is, everything about it is the growing seeds.
You can
building
see
blocks.
the seeds of everything that came later.
Of what we know now to be le phenomenon.
Is that the French?
Le phenomenon.
Le phenomenon.
Yeah. You'll see on the case there, it's got the original parental advisory sticker on
Oh,
it.
here we go.
Look!
And a big 18 rating as
Oh.
well, which
It's pretty big.
Which is
didn't often
unusual.
get
You don't
those on
usually-
games.
Yeah.
Because you normally got the, what are they called? Is it the ESRB rating? You
That's true. I think stuff like
you
Tenchu
didn't
and stuff
normally
had
get that. It's just,
Yeah.
because that's like a BBFC rating, isn't it?
BBFC. Well, I think
For
obviously
films.
DMA are looking to appeal to people who like multimedia type experiences. You're looking at one right there.
Explicit
It's a
content.
It's a very blurry multimedia experience, but you're looking at it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts about original GTA before I pose you some questions.
I always enjoyed it. I haven't played it for years. It's long in the past of me, Dills. I played it on the PC. I just thought it was quite original at the time. I knew that I can understand why I can't remember his name is, the IGN dude said what he said.
Douglas.
But I think that was a bit harsh. It kind of looks like an old game, but it isn't really. It's new and it's original, and they did a lot of new stuff here, which so many games after this expanded upon, truthfully.
Yeah.
But they did start the open world sort of genre with this, I believe.
I think the unfortunate thing about the gaming public, or the buying public, if you will, they're not interested in buying something that's groundbreaking. If it's doesn't entertain them in the right way.
Yeah.
If it doesn't look, up to other games of,
So you're
that
saying that
time.
if people who are playing GTA 5 now, they're unlikely to really give this a go. Is that what you're saying?
I think they wouldn't even give it a second look. They'll think it's some kind of Atari 2600 game, and and just kind of bin it. But they shouldn't,
No, they
because
It deserves it.
it's
Deserves its place.
fascinating. It's completely a time capsule of something that is a PlayStation game, but is obviously taken so many, facets from older games, and it looks classic. It's a blur. Some people might say it's a blurry mess, but it's the classic. It's got like classic old looks. It's a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovingly retro now. GTA 3, we might podcast about GTA 3 at
Yeah,
some
I think
point.
we will at some point.
Still doesn't have that retroness about it because it was so groundbreaking. It actually still looks pretty up there with regards. I think a lot of PS2
It's still
games do, actually.
playable. Yeah, definitely.
They're not. I don't think a lot of PS2 games fall into that retro kind of category.
It just, for me, it passed me by. I was aware of it, and I think it wasn't like I was a snob about games then. But like I was busy playing Resident Evil or Metal Gear Solid, or I was so focused on these new exciting things. I reckon it was a combination of how it looked and those reviews. Because it was a time, it was a time when we still read magazines and 60 to 70%. I remember all because I heard all the fuss about it. I was like, "Ooh, you're the bad guy, and you can basically do whatever you want." And it sounded kind of appealing, but I remember kind of looking at it and thinking, "Yeah, maybe some other time." And it did. It just kind of passed me by, and that's probably true, I guess, of a lot of people, which is why it didn't sell as many.
GTA 2 again didn't enthuse people because they still couldn't break that 3D kind of barrier for whatever
Having
reason.
said that as well, though, I think it was probably, in hindsight, the right decision.
Yeah.
If you look, we talked about Silent Hill. I love the original Silent Hill.
Yep.
It works being able to not see very far ahead of you. But if you imagine if you were trying to play Grand Theft Auto,
The fast car.
not even the driving, but just running around town, unable to see more than a few feet ahead of you because the PlayStation couldn't handle it.
It would be weird.
It would, you say like the original doesn't look great now and is a bit blurry and a bit hard to play, but that would be even worse, I think.
That would be worse.
So it was probably the right decision at the time, but probably also contributed to the lower sales figures. And
I mean, they're not terrible sales figures.
well, no, over what was it?
But in comparison.
Was it just over $1 million? You said
Just over $1 million.
$1 million is $1 million. Yeah.
I think the same with GTA 2, and GTA 2 was on the Dreamcast as well.
I did play
Weird.
GTA 2, and it was GTA 1, but better, wasn't it? Polished.
It just looks
More
better.
options.
Everything is crisper, and we like using the word crisp
We did.
on our Gamerside podcast.
We were accused of using it a bit too much
Crisper.
once, weren't we?
I think it was Rob was just really into crisp things at the time.
He loves his
crisps.
crisps.
He loves crisps. But it is, GTA 2 is a pretty game, I think, to look at now, but it wasn't anything. It's unfortunate because it's kind of like the Dreamcast could have been the one to kind of burst the bubble on that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Dreamcast got lumbered with the 2D one, never got GTA 3, never got the other ones.
It's a shame when you look at a game like Shenmue.
Oh,
3D environments, 3D characters, it looks great. Especially for the time.
GTA 3 would have been a cinch to put
Where
on.
was Mike Daly with all these new games? Did he hang about for GTA 2? Was he involved in 3?
Because DMA only turned to Rockstar, I think, on GTA 3.
Yeah.
I think I haven't got it.
It was their first game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
As Rockstar.
as
Games.
Rockstar. So he was still around, I think. Then
And obviously, it's got strong Scottish links, hasn't it? Rockstar and I think
Yeah.
even DMA was from Scotland, wasn't it originally?
Yeah.
So fair play to the Scottish and
our mate Steve Hammond, of course.
it's amazing, isn't it? GTA 5 or the GTA franchise is one of Scotland's biggest exports, or one of the most profitable exports, I believe, in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a crazy thing when you think about it.
They've got some talented guys up there.
No, big up Scotland. And
Yeah,
we
we owe them one really with a lot of the games that have come out of Scotland.
and
That is GTA. So a couple of questions,
Okay.
then, just to kind of almost wrap up the podcast. And I've got something else I want to ask you guys. How would this have done on the Saturn? So obviously, about what we know about, we talk about Saturn, but Saturn was a 2D powerhouse. It could have done something a bit nearer to the PC version. How would it have gone down, Keith? You as the Saturn
aficionado.
Where are we? So
Aficionado.
we're in 1990.
aficionado.
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 Aficionados.
Yeah.
Where are we? 1997. See, we're already at the point where Sega in America were looking past the Saturn. Because what I'm thinking is, I don't know that it's a game that would have been that popular in Japan,
No.
which was the strongest market for the Saturn by a long way.
It's not very arcadey.
It's
You
not
have to
very
invest
arcadey.
quite a lot yourself.
The flip side of that is obviously the 2D games tended to be released in Japan. But it's the kind of game that would have done better in a Western market, but it's also the kind of game
that would have been 2D.
that would have been
and
2D,
Japanese.
and again, it would. I don't know why it didn't make it to the Saturn.
I just think they were just overstretched. I think.
Yeah,
They were
it
just trying
could
to
have
get
been.
it out, and
Maybe they just thought,
it just wasn't worth it.
it wasn't worth it.
No.
Yeah, it's a shame. It
The
probably
Saturn
could have
been a
handled
bit-
it quite well.
if the Saturn had been a bit stronger out in 95, 96, then they might have been a bit
I think
more
it kind of did. It kind of fell between two stools, as the saying goes. You know, it's not. It's too Western for Japan and too 2D for
Oh god,
North America, and
it would have sold nothing. If you had a copy of that now, it'd be worth millions.
In total, be a 1,000,001 copies sold. of
1,000,001
GT.
copies.
yeah. So I mean, you know, and again, as a Saturn owner, then probably would have passed me by. Probably would have come out looking the way it does with 60 to 70% reviews, and I'd have thought, well,
So if Mike Daly's listening right now, are you telling him, Keith, to make a copy of the Saturn version still? Is that what you're saying?
sure, yes,
Do you
I
think,
will
though,
buy it.
Do you think, though, actually going back to the review thing, do you think that the PlayStation reviews were sort of potentially negatively skewed because of the quality of PlayStation titles at the time? So
Maybe.
looking at everything that came out, I mean, it would have been just
90s,
pre-Resident Evil 2 when it kind of, the PS stuff really sort of went off. But it still had a
Yeah.
lot of good titles. I mean, I think, you know, you're comparing it to the original Resident Evil and Ridge Racer and
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
like I said
that.
earlier, I think I mentioned Wipeout and all the kind of titles that Sony were pushing when the PlayStation came
DMA,
out.
hold on.
Look at this.
Did DMA do Wipeout?
No, I believe.
No, it was
Who did Wipeout?
Psygnosis, wasn't it?
Psygnosis, that's it. Okay,
Yeah.
confused.
Who done High Octane? Who did that one?
Yeah.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
remember.
But yeah,
But-
but you know, Wipeout, like I said, Ridge
Yeah,
Racer,
but Psygnosis worked closely with
Tekken.
DMA on certain games, didn't they? To be fair.
Wipeout, Ridge Racer, Tekken. Those are the games we were playing when the PlayStation first came out,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
a
okay,
year or so later,
You were playing
this came
arcade
out.
conversions on the Saturn.
And on the Saturn,
at the time.
yeah, especially, I mean, yeah, on the Saturn in Europe then, first time around, we were pretty limited to arcade games.
So maybe GTA wouldn't have reviewed so badly. Maybe they
What, on
wouldn't
the
have been
Saturn
that sort
or
of
just-
on the Saturn. Maybe they wouldn't
Maybe,
have been that negative
yeah,
kind of
because it
skew.
might have been like, oh, this is something different.
Yeah, this is something different that
Yeah.
the Saturn owners
Because,
could have.
you know, it's something we talk about a lot, the games that were a bit different and a bit more interesting on the Saturn, we never got them.
Yeah.
They weren't released over here, so something like that would have possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my
Maybe.
conspiracy
Maybe.
theory?
Go on then.
Maybe because the game was quite controversial at the time, maybe the reviewers were a little bit scared of change and didn't want to rock the hornet's nest. And they were thinking, hang on a minute.
I don't know.
Hornets
I
are
don't-
dangerous as well. Bro.
I don't know that games magazines were ever too worried about a bit of controversy because, like we said at the beginning, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Okay, I'm just chucking it out there.
No, it's,
Throwing in a
there
curveball.
might have been some, you know,
I
some
think if
more
it was a Nintendo game, I think that would have run true.
true.
yeah.
But because this is obviously
And I
third party,
bet, going back to what you said earlier about like the Daily Mail and stuff like that, they probably did a review of it. It was probably really scathing
I
about,
bet it was.
Oh yeah,
look at what
I
this
think
is
the Daily
doing to
Mail did
today's
chip in
youth.
with something.
and
But
probably.
I tend not to bother about the Daily Mail, so I didn't
No,
look too much
of course,
into that.
of course. But I mean, in the games magazines back then, I reckon they probably quite like the idea of it, even if they didn't find the game
Yeah.
up to snuff.
So what if, isn't it? That's a big what if. Do you think then that because I was thinking because the second-hand copies of this game, you can't get them with all the 3 maps.
Oh, really?
Pretty much. I mean, now if you're looking at a second
Oh, you mean the
version,
paper? Sorry, yeah.
the
Gotcha.
paper copies, you can actually play it properly.
Wait,
Are they quite rare then, fully complete ones?
I don't
do they?
know, but I don't
Or is
know.
it pot luck when you
It
go
might
and
just
buy
be
one?
like potluck if you get all 3 of them.
Yeah. I'm going to have to have a look on eBay and see if people mention it, like in the listing, like
sort of vital to the
completely
game. So
Yeah.
we kind of need in it. Do you reckon there is a scope for a sort of a limited edition run? I know you like your limited
Ooh.
edition runs. They could do, I don't know, maybe the,
What do you mean a limited
what
edition run of
platform, though?
PlayStation games or a PS4 version of it?
Either, did the PC version have an in-game map? I don't think
I
it did.
can't
did it?
remember, truthfully.
Maybe if they did a remaster of that,
Yeah.
or some kind of limited edition PS4 copy, which had
Or like
the 3 maps in it, or an in-game map. Do you think people would buy a remaster of the original
I reckon,
GTA?
possibly, if you say, let's just say, for argument's sake as well, it's GTA 1, 2 with the London expansion,
Yeah.
all included, all the maps
And just that.
in a box.
Yeah.
I reckon there would be. It wouldn't sell millions, but there's a market
Say it was
for
a
it.
limited, yeah, just say it was
I'd
like a
probably
limited
buy it.
edition run.
I've
Yeah.
got-
I mean, I'm a mug. I'll buy
How
anything,
about
but-
in GTA 6, it could be an in-game arcade you could play, like an Easter egg, like a bit like in...
Oh,
That'd be
I
pretty
like
cool, wouldn't it?
Nice, and you can save it within it and just
Yeah,
kind of hog
go
it on
back
there and
to
play
it
on
and
the
I love
stuff.
that. I love it when
That's
games
pretty-
do that, like Shenmue style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That'd
that's
be
good.
great.
I quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Rockstar.
I shook the hornet's nest again there.
There you go, Rockstar. We've given you a few more ideas there. So now I'm just going to find out what your guys' favourite Grand Theft Auto moment is. Obviously, you've played them. I've not given you time to think about it. Whilst you're thinking about it, I'll tell you mine.
Go on.
It's a bit left field, actually. Obviously, people talk about your Vice City, your San Andreas. One of my favourite bits, if not my favourite bit, of any Grand Theft Auto game is in the Ballad of Gay Tony, which is part of the Liberty City Stories expansion for GTA 4. And the last mission, last missions on GTA games are generally epic. They're either obviously the Scarface type thing in Vice City, or obviously taking over the town in San Andreas. But with Ballad of Gay Tony, I think you're chasing like Russian mobsters. It's not anything left field, but it goes from a shootout in a fun fair, to a motorbike chase with a helicopter.
Oh yeah, nice.
And then you board an airplane. Obviously, take out the main guy. He drops a grenade. A lot of spoilers here, sorry. And then the airplane blows up, and you parachute out of it.
Yes.
As you can put like whatever track like you want, and if you're doing it like nighttime, you basically just parachute to the last bit of the game. This is kind of like this moment of like serenity. You're like, you've done this awesome mission, and you're just kind of just floating in this parachute right down to the bit where the cutscene is, and then it finishes. Yeah. So if none of you have out there have played the Ballad of Gay Tony, definitely recommend it. I think the Liberty City Stories Xbox 360 copy only sold about 8 million, which seems paltry compared to everything else.
It does, doesn't it?
It seems like, what? 8 million? But when you're thinking about 8 million, that's quite a lot of copies or something. But so that's my, if not my favourite GTA.
See, for me, now cards on the table, I've only really, I played the GTA 3. I bought GTA 3. It was the first one I played. Loved it. Played it to death. And Vice City as well. I've played bits of the others since, but I've been reluctant to get into them too much because there's other things I want to play. Yeah. And especially with like GTA 5. It looks amazing. Like you say, it's been out for 5 years, but I could pick up the PS4 one for pennies. And there's just so much to do. I could possibly never play anything ever again except that. But I think for me, it was the whole of Vice City. I just loved it. The whole, cause you know now how like that 80s, kind of Miami neon pink Hawaiian shirt, that whole kind of thing's become really fashionable again. But it was before all that happened, before it was suddenly fashionable again. And just with bright pink and Ray Liotta, and it just had such an amazing cast. And just the whole thing, like
they really
Scarface
pushed the boat out for that.
Oh, it was just amazing.
The soundtrack was just immense. You just go around, just like, I love that tune. I'll just stay in the car. And
the soundtrack,
on the side
the different radio stations. And just so I can't really off the top of my. It's been a while, so off the top of my head, not a particular mission. And even just playing GTA 3 for the first time. I know I didn't play the first two, but even for you guys that did play the first two, going to that. Must have been like a revelation.
It was like they really hit I'm like, that was when it was the kind of eureka moment, and we will go into Grand Theft Auto 3 again at some point.
I remember I bought it from Game Station on George Street back when it was recorded, and I think I traded some of my PS2 games in to get it. Man,
well worth it, right?
Yeah, awesome.
Well worth it. Yeah. Adrian, what about your sort of favourite GTA moment?
I don't really play them.
Oh.
The bizarre thing is, out of all the GTA games that I probably put the most hours into, it's probably the first one.
The first one.
I did play San Andreas quite a lot, actually. I put my hands up to that. But I never really completed
What did you play it on?
A PS2, I think. The San Andreas, yeah. It's just... I think we spoke very briefly I can't remember what it was, but I kind of went in a weird sort of Nintendo or PC
we did talk about it. Me and Dill went in the darker kind of killing zombies and mental breakdown games. and you were playing the cuddlier
But
Mario
or
games.
if I was
and-
playing PC games, it'd be like RTS games or like Half-Life 2 and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know, I don't know, it's weird, and or more simulation games. I kind of went a different path. So
Yeah.
actually, I just remember walking around with a flamethrower in GTA 1, killing people and avoiding the cops. So I'm an old school GTA gamer.
yeah.
Me. What can
Well,
I
this
say?
is- okay, I mean, I suppose the point is, like, for everyone out there, for Keith and his Vice City, for me and my Ballad of Gay Tony, Gay Tony, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for
That's it.
the original Grand Theft Auto. So it's been derided, but it's led on to so much more.
Mm.
And I think, you guys will join me in saying thank you to DMA Design.
Thank you, DMA Design.
No, lots of credit deserved.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it is a groundbreaking game.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that statement.
Thanks to GTA, and then, for all you sort of current gen gamers out there, give it a go. Why not? See the roots of this
Yeah.
230 million unit phenomenon. Yeah. And on that note, good night.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch regarding this week's episode or anything else, you can tweet us at Arcade Attack UK, at Keith Barlow 82, and at Arcade_Adriano. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcade Attack UK. Please check out our website at arcadeattack.co.uk for lots of retro gaming goodness, interviews, reviews, features, top 10s, etc. And you can also find all our previous podcasts there. Our podcasts are available to stream from the website and are available to download for free from Stitcher, Podbean and iTunes, where you can also leave us a review and a rating, which we would really, really appreciate. So, until next time, take care and we'll speak to you soon.